So let's go about that all-important mirroring of the steps, so we get a left and a right step forward, and those will be the two building blocks that we need to get a cycling action going on for the walk. Now before we start, I'm going to do a really evil trick which isn't 100% necessary, but I'm doing it right now so we can do this in a completely simple and I won't say brain dead, but in a way that we won't have to think too much about what we're doing as we're copying. And that is to key every single one of these channels on each of the key poses that I have made for the walk. So I'm going to key on available, so I, and then select available, and for all of the bones. And notice I selected them by hovering over the left side of the action window and hitting A once or twice until all the channels were selected. And what that does is just make sure that everything is keyed, so when we go to paste mirrored, we won't have any surprises at all. You actually won't get many surprises, and so if you feel confident enough, you don't need to do this step. But this is just so that things go as smoothly as possible. And it shouldn't really change anything about the walk, since it just keyed things in the positions that they were already in. So the first thing we have to do is work with the first and last pose. So we'll copy that first pose and then we'll paste it way at the end after the second cycle, because the same foot will be forward at the beginning and the end. They'd be identical poses. So we had gone 12 frames forward in the beginning, we go another 12 frames forward to frame 25, and then now we just paste, not paste mirrored, but paste. And once we do that, everything jumps backwards, unfortunately. It's not what we want. The character should be moving forward, and again it's a matter of selecting those three bones like we did earlier and offsetting them so that the foot that's on the ground stays on the ground in that pose. So now let's have a look in the side view. We can put the cursor right under the bone just to sort of mark our position, and then we'll scrub forwards. That's the left. Use the left arrow, left mouse button, by the way, to drag the time slider forward and scrub forward on the action window timeline. And then we move that three bones forward with the G key, with the Control key pressed down, so it's moving on integer steps, and we're done. And now we have a step and that simple slidey thing that we did before. So a step skate. And notice I'm leaving the cursor in that position, so once I've marked down the position of that heel once, I can use it for referencing for each time I do this. So now we'll get the pass position over there, we'll go to the middle here, and we'll paste mirrored this time. So just drag the time slider over, and then paste mirrored, and you'll see how things jumped backwards. So let's select our three bones, our all-important three bones. You can use box and deselect that extra bone that I picked. And once over, we'll drag it over the cursor. You notice it's moving by an offset of 2 each time. That's going to be a constant, and that's because that's the amount that the feet were offset from each other on that first pose. So if you remember that, that's also a trick, and you can use numerical input for that. So this is starting to look really okay. We just have 4 more poses to copy and we're done. So once again, A key over the left side of the action editor, copy, and then we'll move to the equivalent frame and paste mirrored. And now we have to drag the 3 bones forward, so we'll select them. And then we'll go back to the side view and move them so that the heel is over the cursor. See that front heel should be over the cursor because that's the foot that's on the ground. So we'll just make sure that the position is the same in both of those frames. We'll just grab it, and with the Control key pressed, and we can middle mouse if you want to snap to one axis and click there, and now we have that nice and easy. Now let's go back to the pose after that extra pose we added while we were teaking. Select all the bones and then copy the pose to the buffer, and now we'll go to the equivalent pose and we'll paste mirrored, and now select our 3 bones, the left and right feet and the torso. Go back to the side view. This is getting very familiar by now, isn't it? And notice, yeah, that cursor is still a valuable guide. That's always where that heel of that foot is going to be in each pose. So with the control key pressed, drag the bones forward, and we're done with that. Now we just have to do those 2 poses in the other half of the cycle. So we have to do the up and then that extra keyframe we added in the middle there. So we select everything, copy after we got the A key toggled, and then we go to the equivalent frame, paste mirrored. By the way, all these equivalent frames are a cycle ahead from the other one, so it should be pretty easy to find them. They're, I guess, 12 frames ahead because we had a 12 frame cycle for our walk. So you can visually see that in the action editor, or you can just measure 12 frames ahead each time. So let's go to the next one. This is the last pose we're going to have to copy. We'll copy it and we'll go 12 frames ahead, paste mirrored, and once again we have to select these 3 bones and make sure they're in the right spot. Yeah, I think the zoom is important, that you can see the grid when you're dragging things with the control key pressed. And so that's another even offset. And now we're actually done having our forward cycle in place. Just a little thing we can do is change the end frame of the animation to frame 25 by going to that keyframe and hitting E in the timeline editor. And now we have it.